ever have a horse in a World Series game every year, right? Alexander Garrett keeping it real tonight, as I really can't sleep. It's Game 7 tomorrow night. It's going to be Scherzer, Greinke. It's going to be amazing. And I say that because I truly believe this has been one of the most bizarre World Series I've watched. More bizarre than the Red Sox coming back in the ALCS in 04 and winning the World Series that year. They just were the better team over the Cardinals. But this series, a series in which the first time ever the road team has won all 6 games of a championship. Think about that. This World Series alone has been played for about 114 years. The World Series 100th anniversary was 2003, Marlins, Yankees. Think about this on Keep It Real. Over 100 years. First time ever that the road team has won all 6 games. That's crazy. So, what's that to say? The idea of home field advantage may not be there this year. Just may not be, especially in this World Series. And why? Who knows? I think for the Nationals, they were trying to impress their crowd. Maybe even the president on Sunday. Definitely some trying to impress the home crowd in Washington. And I can't explain it for the Astros because they always have that train moving in left field, right? Home run after home run. Well, Nats pitching has finally stopped them in Minute Maid for the most part. But again, this has been a bizarre series. So that's fact one. The fact that no home teams won yet in this World Series. You've had girls banned from Major League ballparks because they used the right camera angle to flash Fox Sports, The Nation. For a good cause, sure, but that was part of it. You did have President Trump booed in Game 5 on Sunday because, he's Trump and quote-unquote DC elites were in the stands hating on him. But the reality is, earlier that day, he announced the death of the ISIS leader, Baghdadi. So how does this make sense that you can announce the death of a leader and then get booed in the city that you got elected to run? That's your home base. How do you get booed? How do you boo him? That's the bigger question to me. How do you boo him after that big announcement? You don't. Plain and simple. But they did. So that added to the bizarreness of the series. And then, of course, you've got Dave Martinez, the Nationals manager, blowing up after the Trey Turner call, and he was safe. The replay says he was out, but he was safe. You know it. Joe Torre knows that he can't go against the league and the umpires in this case, but I'm sure he knows it. So now the Major League Baseball headquarters, Rob Manfred, has a headache, much like Goodell had a headache with that non-pass interference call. But at the end of the day, Dave Martinez has been upset with the umping since the Nationals had home field, since it was Nationals Park. You know why? because to him, he thought the umps weren't calling it fair for the Nationals. And he probably was right, looking at a lot of the video from those strike calls. He literally said, "Wake up, it's the World Series." So I'm not surprised, down 3-2, he was going off against the umpires tonight in Minute Maid Park. Not surprised. Then we have Kate Upton trying to say that she was wrongfully criticized, misogynist criticisms. Even women were calling her out for trying to stick up for her hubby Verlander and the Astros. Even women were calling her out. So, Game 7. Scherzer, who says he couldn't pick up his right arm, versus Greinke, who technically can be a mental case. Great father. We saw that video after the game he pitched in the World Series, picking up his kid. Looks wild on the mound. But it's going to be the first Game 7 where two former Cy Young winners face off. It's going to be a fun matchup. But here's my question. Do you believe... By the way, my chat's open in case you're listening. Do you believe that the Nationals deserve to win for the DC elites, the lobbyists that were at the game booing their president? Do you believe the National fans deserve to have this moment of glory? Personally, no. I don't think those people deserve glory like winning a World Series. But for the city, it'd be amazing. First of all, they haven't had a World Series game since 1933. And second of all, they haven't won the World Series in forever. And this would be also closing the book on how beleaguered the Expos were and how sad it was they had to move to Washington. Look how glorious this is. Look at what veterans Ryan Zimmerman and and Steven Strasburg, who pitched tonight, look how much their journey has gone through just to get to this point, minus Bryce Harper. Minus Bryce. Guys, it's no wonder I can't sleep on Game 7. On now the morning of Game 7. Because there's so many angles to this. I could talk about this for hours. Probably up until first pitch. Because the history of Washington baseball. Then picking up the history from the Expos and trying to reverse their course down in Washington. And you know the first manager of the Nationals, Frank Robinson, died in the off-season. I mean, baseball misses him. But he did lead them out of Montreal and into Washington, settling them in. And maybe his spirit's guiding this national team this year. Maybe that's what's going on as well. The manager of the first ever Nationals 2005 team passing on. And I remember how much of a class act he was. He would actually take out each pitcher the final game of the first season in 2005. So they would all get a round of applause for their efforts that year. First year in Washington. Pretty cool, right? Pretty cool. And it's kind of sad he won't be able to see this moment to be honest with you. But he is looking on from heaven, there's no doubt right now. Then how about the Astros? Bregman's finally out of his slump, so much so he carried the bat down to first on the home run. I know, showboating this, showboating that. Juan Soto had every right to carry his bat down to first on his home run, which, by the way, put the Nats up for good. For good of Verlander. But this is an Astro team that had its flaws again, had its struggles against Tampa. Yeah, struggled opening game against the Yankees and maybe a little bit game two, but then coasted after that. But this is a team genuinely that was supposed to squash the Nationals. And why haven't they? Well, if you think about it, Nationals can hit homers, but they also play the small ball game. They also could chew you out and wear you down. And I think that's what happened this series so far. Minus the 3 games in Washington. Somehow they find it in them to wear down pitchers, to play small ball, to not rely on the home run as heavily as Houston does. And the Yankees do. And so I hope teams can learn from a scrappy team like the Nationals, who don't need homers all the time to win. They just need quality pitching and timely hits and get back to basics, shortening up the swing against guys like Verlander. Go a long way in this postseason. Go a long way in the regular season. So there is no doubt. I don't know how much sleep I'm going to get because I'm so revved up. Greinke versus Scherzer. 2 ISIS leaders dead. A impeachment vote that could fall flat on the face of the Democrats in Washington. But on the great side, and by the way, the lawyer that's tied to this White House official that's testifying today, or that testified today, the former ambassador, his lawyer was tied to Biden in 2007. Think about that. His lawyer tied to Biden in 2007. If I don't tell you this information, you may not know about it. That's why I'm telling you. And all that to be said, for the Nationals to win, after the Capitals won, the first time with Trump, they win. Now the Nationals win? Oh man, they may not want to hear this, but DC is definitely winning under President Trump. America's definitely winning under President Trump. But for America's pastime to finally have a championship in the nation's capital again would just mean the world, pun intended, to me, and I'm sure to you as well. So answer me in this text, in the comments. Email me, alex.garrett21@yahoo.com. alex.garrett21@yahoo.com. Are you sleeping tonight, the morning of Game 7? Or are you as revved up as I am? Because baseball's in my blood. I live for games like this, where every pitch matters. I hope you do too. I hope you watch it. I hope this idea that the attention span of the average American and average fan is diminishing is out the window tonight. And that we focus as hard as we can. Because Game 7's here. Before we know it, Scherzer, Greinke, national pastime, America, D.C. could see a championship in its own home, in our nation's capital. If that doesn't give you goosebumps, and if you have followed what the Nats have gone through, what Steven Strasburg has gone through, injury after injury, still being able to do this. Ryan Zimmerman, same thing. The veterans, along with Scherzer, leading the squad. Could be a very special night for Washington, D.C. in a year that's seen special moments coming from that White House. Oh yeah. You boo Trump, you definitely put him in this conversation. Because Trump's brought winning to this nation's capital. And he might have just brought sports winning to that town again. Capitals, for second year of his presidency? Now, Nationals on the brink? After having not been on the brink? After getting rid of Bryce Harper? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? This is a storybook right now. And to have a series where all the road teams win, I think that might be a first in the series. How crazy would that be? Hey, I'm Alexander Garrett. Gonna maybe get some shut-eye now. Keep it real tonight on Spreaker. Well, this morning on Spreaker. Hope you enjoy the listen back. Take care. And we'll talk to you soon.